Hello everybody. In this video we will try to understand some more interesting things about Ashwini Nakshatra. So if you observe Ashwini Nakshatra and the sun, both relate strongly to creation, to initiation and vitality. Sun is actually, he is creating so many things every day, and even the life on earth is possible because of the sun. So Ashwini Nakshatra, of course, is ruled by Ketu, and why we observed in the previous video. But its presiding deities are the Ashwini Kumaras, the twin horse-headed physicians of the gods. And we also saw in this encyclopedia series that these two Ashwini Kumaras are basically one is life, another one is healing. So basically they symbolize the beginning of healing, rejuvenation, swift action. They represent spark of life, activation, new beginnings. And see, the sun symbolically is the source of life. It is the source of life on earth. And the spark of consciousness that illuminates and brings vitality to everybody on the earth is the sun. And in Aries, which is ruled by Mars, of course, the sun expresses its independent will, its dynamism, and its creativity very, very purely. So at 10 degrees within this Ashwini Nakshatra signifies that creation begins with self-expression and divine vitality. And sun is the representation of the self. It is self-expression basically. How you express yourself is actually sun. So sun is that spark of creation. Sun is that initiation energy. Sun is initiating a day. Every day in your life is initiated by sun's wake up call, right? So the beginning, the life on the earth, the beginning of a day, and the life on earth is actually possible by sun, not by any other planet. And that's why sun is exalted. Means sun can express all its qualities very, very purely, very, very independently in Ashwini Nakshatra. And somebody may ask, why not Jupiter? Why not Jupiter? Jupiter is also a kind of creator. So why not Jupiter is exalted in Ashwini Nakshatra? See, Jupiter's creation is a kind of expansive, it's nurturing, it's wisdom oriented. As Jupiter itself is not the creator. It's actually, Jupiter represents the growth after the initial spark, but that initial spark is sun. That initiation is indicated by sun, and Ashwini Nakshatra is very famous for this initiation. And as we discussed in our previous videos in the encyclopedia and the Nakshatra encyclopedia, in the beginning there was nothing. There was a big flash of light, and from there the consciousness and the awareness, initially the awareness come out of that big flash of light. And then conscious, and this awareness is went down into a kind of energy or into a vibration where it was able to make life possible. And consciousness also followed awareness, and consciousness united with awareness. Instead of saying united, you can say reunited, because initially this consciousness and awareness were together. But when awareness was separated from that big flash of light, even consciousness followed that awareness. And finally, when they reunited in a vibration where life was possible, and there was a spark, that spark of life, that in Vedic terminology is called as prana. And from that, two things were born. One is life, and the one is healing. Those two represent Ashwini Kumaras. And that duality, so duality is very much clearly expressed here. And that's why on the earthly plane, life is possible by two persons. Life can be created by two people, not by one. And now we understood how sun is exalted in the Ashwini Nakshatra. Now you may get a doubt, why not Jupiter? Jupiter is also kind of creator, but Jupiter is not a direct creator. Jupiter represents the expansion after the initial spark, but Jupiter is not the initiator, right? Jupiter represents order. Jupiter represents guidance, sustenance of creation through knowledge, through dharma, through prosperity. The sustenance of creation, Jupiter, what Jupiter represents is sustenance of creation, not the creation. His creative act is sustaining and expanding what has already initiated, what has already begun, but not initiating it. Jupiter is not the initiator. Jupiter is the expander. Jupiter can do the sustenance of creation through knowledge, dharma, and prosperity. That's why Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. The sign, the sign representing nurturing, protecting, and all, right? So this Cancer sign represents that nourishment and emotional wisdom, growth, and all. Cancer is where life develops. The sign Cancer is where the life develops, but not the sign, it's not the sign of life creation. But Aries, that especially Ashwini, is where life begins. So while both the Sun and Jupiter are kind of creators, they operate at different stages of creative cycle. So Sun is a kind of spark. It's an initiation, it's the life force. Whereas Jupiter is responsible for growth and nourishment of that particular creation which is done by Sun. Right? So Sun is a kind of active energy, it's a fiery energy, it's individual, self-expression is what Sun represents. Whereas Jupiter is expansive in nature. Jupiter guides, Jupiter sustains. Right? Sun represents birth, but Jupiter represents your maturity, the expansion. So Sun in Ashwini is a kind of divine impulse to create. It's the seed, it's the spark. Whereas Jupiter in Cancer is a kind of divine expansion, is nurturing of that creation. So a Sun is a kind of seed, whereas Jupiter is a kind of growth. It's a growth giver. You can imagine like a garden. Sun is a spark. Jupiter is the growth of that spark. Right? So this creation is not one single act. It is a cycle. Right? Sun is a kind of spark, and the spark is expanded. It's something like the seed is grown and it becomes garden by the Jupiter's energy. So Jupiter is not exalted in the Ashwini Nakshatra. In the Aries, it's not exalted. Right? So every planet finds exaltation where its cosmic function is most naturally expressed. So now you may think, some people say Rahu is also a kind of creator in the modern age especially, right? Because in the modern technologies and all, these are all actually created by Rahu's energy. So Rahu, of course, plays a creator-like role in the modern era, particularly in the technological and innovative fields, but the creation of Rahu is not divine creation. It's not divine creation, but the creation that happens in Ashwini, as we discussed, just imagine the reunition of awareness and consciousness. That's a divine creation. You are a divine creation. Humans, right? Kind of divine creation. That divine creation you can symbolize with Ashwini Nakshatra, you can symbolize with sun, but Rahu's creation is artificial. It's a kind of boundary breaking creation. It's very much illusion based rather than divine, natural and organic. Rahu's creation is not divine, it's not natural, it's not organic. Rahu governs innovation, some kind of experimentation, some kind of disruption. Right? So Rahu creates through some kind of manipulation of existing forces by twisting them or transforming them or amplifying them. It's not the creation, it's not the seed. So Rahu's genius lies in simulation and technology, creating some kind of virtual worlds, some kind of synthetic life, artificial life, kind of alternate realities. It's not the fundamental creation. It's not the divine creation. Rahu's creation is a kind of recreation, as a creation from some source, right? So just see the difference here. Just see the fire from the sun and fire from a kind of electric light made by humans. Both illuminate, of course, but their sources differ a lot. One is divine, one is a kind of engineered kind of source. You got the difference? That's why Rahu cannot exalt in the nakshatra Ashwini. So Ashwini Nakshatra stands for the dawn of life. It's spontaneous healing, it's divine vitality, it's a kind of purity of impulse. And it is ruled by Ketu, where the detachment, that spirituality, that mysticalness is present. It's not materialistic. Why it is detached? Just observe from the flash of light. Consciousness, awareness. Initially the awareness was detached. And once the consciousness followed awareness and they reunited and the life began as a spiritual process. It's a mystical process. It's a divine process. That's where, and it was all directionless. There was no purpose of all this. There was no purpose of awareness coming out of that. Consciousness reuniting with awareness, and just life began like a spark, without any direction, without any purpose. That's Ketu. That's why Ketu is the ruler of Ashwini Nakshatra, right? So it's kind of spiritual process. It involved a lot of detachment, whereas Rahu is a kind of attachment, right? So Ashwini's pure divine spark of creation is something like very, very natural. It's natural than anything in the universe. Even the universe itself was that creation, of course. And Rahu is a kind of artificial energy. It's a kind of experimental energy. It's an experimental creation is Rahu. It's not a natural spark, right? So Ashwini is a kind of Ashwini, the star where Ashwini is present, the light years, from the earth, a huge number of light years away from earth. That's where the natural birth of this particular cosmos occurred. And Rahu's creation is a kind of artificial, synthetic rebirth, synthetic recreation, you can say. It's a kind of re-engineering of what already exists. So if Rahu is exalted in Ashwini, it's something like his it's very, very it's not at all imaginable, right? It's a kind of uncontrolled. Was it a kind of artificial thing happened? What the universe, the whole universe is not at all artificial, right? It's not a kind of uncontrolled experimentation, right? So Rahu cannot be exalted in the nakshatra Ashwini. Rahu is exalted in Taurus, you can say that, right? Or some school of astrologers say Rahu is exalted in the sign of Gemini, because Taurus is ruled by Venus. It represents manifestation, material stability, kind of some sensual enjoyment, some kind of resources. The physical world where Rahu can build, materialize and innovate is Taurus. Or Rahu, here can create technology, comfort, wealth, kind of sensory experiences, the tangible outcomes of his creative drive. That is Rahu. But Ashwini is pure fire, right? So you cannot say Rahu. It's when Rahu is in Ashwini nakshatra, a person can create some artificial things, can re-engineer the things with the natural things, that you can say. So Sun is a kind of birth spark, whereas Jupiter is a kind of sustenance. It creates some expansion. Rahu is innovation, basically. Rahu is a kind of rebirth, kind of fusion, re-engineering, recreation, right? So that is the fundamental energy of Rahu. Rahu cannot exalt in Ashwini nakshatra, right? The kind of course Rahu is a creator, but artificial creator. He's a recreator. He's a re-engineer guy, right? So Rahu in Ashwini, somebody you might be having Rahu in Ashwini, then it gives strong creative and inventive impulses for you, but it's not the pure impulse. It's not divine type, right? If you have Rahu in Ashwini, let us say a person has Rahu in Ashwini, the person often feels driven to experiment or driven to engineer something new. So that placement can produce technological, medical innovations, right? And Rahu's energy is a kind of impulsive, of course, but it's unstable. It's leading to some kind of risky experiments also in the nakshatra Ashwini. Or the native can imitate divine creation, because Ashwini is about that divine creation and Rahu is there. So Rahu can imitate some kind of divine creation, creating some kind of artificial life, some kind of digital realities, you can say, right? Or a person can be very good at imagination, right? But may lack some ethical balance because Rahu is sitting in the Ashwini nakshatra. Ashwini is purity. Rahu is a material desire. There is a kind of inner conflict between the two impulses, right? So Rahu in Ashwini, person can get some fame through innovation, right? Or it's a kind of powerful energy, right? So, or you can if you feel that energy, the person, it's a kind of misusing divine creative force. A person would re-engineer the existing things and may misuse it and learn some karmic lessons as well, right? So that you can feel when Rahu is in Ashwini, you can feel this much, but you cannot say Rahu feels very comfortable in Ashwini. You cannot say that. The two energies are different. That's what I want to tell. And some people think, okay, Mars, what about Mars? Mars is in Aries, so its own sign, even it's the Mula Trikona sign for Mars. Then why not Mars is exalting in the nakshatra Ashwini? See, Mars, of course, it represents energy, it represents action, courage and drive, the force that, that propels or kind of it fuels the creation, or it can move the created things into motion, right? Ashwini Nakshatra is, of course, it's very much energetic, it's action oriented. So you may feel Mars is, it's a perfect fit in Ashwini Nakshatra, but Mars is actually exalting in the sign Capricorn, which is an earthy sign. It's not a fiery sign. So why it is all? See, Ashwini represents spark and initiation. It's the birth of life. It's the first impulse. Whereas Mars is action. It's the drive. It can fuel creation, right? But it cannot create. You're getting it? But exaltation requires what? Exaltation requires a kind of mastery in that. But Mars cannot have mastery over creation. Mars can fuel creation. So Mars is powerful in Ashwini Nakshatra. I would say it is impulsive. But in Capricorn, if you observe, Mars is very powerful and disciplined, leading to some maximum effectiveness of Martian energies. Right? So Mars is actually exalting in the sign of Capricorn. See, exaltation is less about symbolic similarity. It's more about where a planet can express its energy most effectively without any friction. Right? So Mars in Aries, of course, it's comfortable, it's fiery, it's impulsive. It's prone to some kind of rashness as well, because its own sign, right? But Capricorn provides the discipline, that structure, that strategic use of energy. So Mars can channel its immense force effectively. Because Capricorn is also about that. It's about the structuring, strategic use of energy. It is Capricorn. So Mars is about fueling the creation, but it is not about the creation. Right? It can fuel the creation. It's a kind of duty that it can do. That's where this is the duty performing house. Aries is the duty performing house. So Sun is exalted in Ashwini because it's the pure divine spark of creation. Mars in Ashwini is a kind of, it's energetic, it's impulsive force. It's not at all disciplined. It can fuel the creation, but it cannot create. That is the fundamental thing. Mars, of course, it is exalted in Capricorn because there it can be very, very effective. Right? It's very structured and disciplined. So Martian energy can be fully utilized in the sign of Capricorn and not in Aries. So this is the most important thing in Vedic astrology. Thanks for watching this video.